At 02:14 local time, 4 Ukrainian strike drones scream off into the dark one after another on what should have been a quiet launch towards this Russian Be-200. But unknown to the Ukrainian operators, a Russian fire team has watched this tree line for days, walked the grid up the chain, and the first mortar rounds are already bracketing the field. The crew folds the rail and runs as the dirt rains down. 4 drones are airborne and climbing. The hard part starts now. The formation settles into the deck and turns southeast, following the ground toward the coast, low enough to vanish into the black of the fields. So close to the dirt, the camera catches the furrows rushing past. On a tree line along the route, a Russian fire group commander has been waiting. He's worked this lane before. The drones come through here slow, low, and predictable, and he knows roughly when. 2 hours ago, he cut the engine on his truck where the valley funnels them and settled in to wait. He's not alone either. 5 more trucks sit hidden along the same corridor, spaced a few kilometers apart. A gauntlet of guns. The whole drone formation has to fly straight through. Right now, 4 soft contacts cross his sight, and he likes his odds. The lead truck opens up. Tracers reach for the front drone and stitch across the camera frame, just a hand's width from the lens. The drone doesn't flinch. There's no pilot aboard to duck, and it can't shoot back either. That gun belongs to a mobile fire group, a pickup with a heavy machine gun or shoulder-fired missile riding in the bed, parked on the exact routes Russia knows the drones use. Speed traps for drones, sitting right where the traffic always comes through. And the FP2 makes an easy mark. What just lifted off that rail? The Firepoint FP2, Ukraine's deep strike workhorse, a 200 kilometers reach with a 105-kilogram warhead, cruising at 150 kilometers per hour, barely highway pace, roughly Chicago to Indianapolis on a single tank, about $55,000 per airframe. Cheap enough that Kyiv launches 4 expecting to lose 3. Low, slow, and easy to track by eye this close to the front. A second truck picks up the formation and adds its fire from the opposite side. Then a third. The drones thread between the tracer streams, jinking as much as a slow airframe can. 1 round clips a tail fin off the trailing drone. It wobbles, dips towards the dirt, then crawls back onto course on a bent control surface. This corridor is a shooting gallery now. Truck 4 lights them up from a ridge. The formation is taking fire from 3 directions now, and the front drone's camera washes white every time a tracer burns past the lens. For a few long seconds, it looks like simple arithmetic. 6 guns, 4 slow drones, no way through. Then the lead truck explodes. A fireball climbs off the tree line where the gun had been. The tracers from that position simply stop. A second blast follows 3 seconds later. Truck 2, the one working the formation from the opposite side, gone in a flash of orange. Behind the ridge, a third truck catches the next one and comes apart. 3 down in under 10 seconds. Turns out there's a type of drone that doesn't appear on any Russian radio scanner, and the fire group commanders discovered this tonight. The little drones that just did that are the escorts, finally on station, and they arrived late on purpose. They are fiber-optic FPVs, first-person view quadcopters thrown down a hair-thin glass cable that spools out behind them as they go. Nothing they do touches the radio spectrum. No jammer that Russia owns can so much as nudge them. The orders ride the glass. But that same cable is the catch. Drag it through the cloud of shrapnel still falling over the launch site and the fiber snaps. And a snapped fiber drops the drone out of the sky on the spot. So the escorts couldn't bull straight through the launch zone behind the strikers. They had to swing wide around the falling steel, then run the cable out to catch the formation. That detour is exactly why the strikers spent that long minute alone in the open, taking fire with no one to answer it. That glass leash buys the one thing that matters over jammed territory, a control link nothing in the air can break, and it costs the one thing the FP2s wish it didn't: reach. The spool only holds so much fiber. About 20 kilometers from the front, the escorts hit the end of their string, peel off, and turn for home. Which leaves a problem. From here on, the only thing connecting one pilot to 4 drones deep over Russia is a satellite dish on an aircraft circling over the bay. A single thread, and the Russians are already hunting for it. 40 miles back, over the middle of the bay, that thread has an aircraft holding it up. A 5th drone flies slow circles in the dark. No warhead, just a Starlink dish bottled where the explosives sit on the others. It can do nothing but orbit and relay. Unarmed, slow, with no way to save itself. Stick inputs go down to the strikers. Camera frames come back up. If a Russian fighter finds it or a SAM climbs to it, all 4 strikers go blind in the same heartbeat. The most important aircraft over the bay tonight is one that can't hurt a soul. Lose it and the whole raid ends quietly. 4 drones wandering off into the dark with nobody home to fly them. Deep over occupied territory, the 4 drones fly into a wall of electronic noise, the kind that turns most drones into confetti and drops them in a field. These 4 fly straight through it. No wobble, rock steady, right on course. Watch how level the horizon holds on the cockpit feed while all that jamming rolls over them. Here's why they didn't even flinch. These drones don't use GPS at all. Instead, each one flies the whole route off its own internal map, counting every turn it makes. The way you could find your own kitchen in a blackout because you've walked it 1,000 times. Russia floods this entire front with GPS jamming, the surest and cheapest way to swat a drone out of the sky. Tonight, it bounced right off. Something else, though, starts to go wrong. All 4 video feeds stutter at once, tearing, freezing, black for half a second. The pilot pushes the stick and the drones answer a beat late, then start sliding north, drifting toward open water. In a room nowhere near the front, each pilot is flying their respective drone. Less juggling than a dad working the grill, checking his phone, and pretending to follow his wife's story about her co-worker. But the stakes run a little higher. When the feeds tear, he's not looking at a glitch. He's watching 4 aircraft deep over Russia start to wander off at the same instant, and he has seconds to do something about it before they're gone for good. Far behind the front, a Russian electronic warfare operator is doing something clever, and he's been at this long enough to be good at it. He's watched these drones shrug off his jammers for weeks, and he knows the trick by now. A lesser operator would keep hammering the satellite link and filling reports about a system that refuses to break. This one is sharper than that. The link to the satellite he cannot touch. The signal goes straight up, and no jammer on the ground shouts loud enough to reach it. So he stops swinging at the part he can't crack. He goes hunting for the one part he can, and he found it. If you look here at the dish on that relay aircraft over the bay, you're looking at the trick that makes this entire mission possible, and its single weakness. The drones are flown over Starlink. Yeah, the same American satellite constellation that puts Sunday Night Football on a screen in rural Iowa. 6,000 satellites overhead, every one of them launched out of Florida or California, and every one of them quietly flying combat support over the Sea of Azov tonight. Its antenna points straight up at the satellites overhead. No ground jammer on the coast shouts loud enough to reach a signal headed for space, like trying to block a phone call by yelling at the person's house, when the call already went up to a tower and never sideways to you. So the operator stopped yelling at the house. He went after the one wire he could reach, the short radio hop from the relay aircraft down to the drones. A plain, ordinary signal, wide open to anyone with a jammer pointed the right way. This is what he just found and what he's flooding right now. If that hop stays buried for more than a few seconds, 4 drones go deaf over Russia and wander off until the tanks run dry. The feeds keep tearing while the drones slide out over the water, and the pilot has one move left: push them down at the ground, not away from it. He splits the formation, and the 2 halves take very different roads down. 2 drones drop into the valley of the Yeysk River. It spills right down into the bay next to the base. The other 2 drop onto Taganrog Bay itself, skimming the waves so low the camera catches spray flecking the lens, hugging the shoreline the whole way in. There's no room for error down here. Drop just a meter and a wave takes the drone. Climb a meter and a gunner gets a clean look. The pilot threads that scene by hand, on a feed half a second behind real life. The feed snaps back, sharp, clear, steady, and the jammer has gone blind to all 4 at once. That dive just bought them everything. A ground jammer can only flood what it can see in a straight line. So the moment a drone slides into a river valley or below a coastline, the ridgelines and the curve of the earth swallow the signal whole. Like ducking below a fence so the man with the flashlight can't paint you with the beam. The inland jammer lost them down low, but the relay aircraft over the bay still had a clean line to all 4, so the link held. It worked perfectly, which is exactly what the Russians were counting on. Days earlier, that same jamming picture told a Russian air defense officer something useful. He had watched jammed drones over the stretch duck into the same river valley to hide, mission after mission without fail. So he stopped treating the valley as their cover. He started treating it as their choke point. If these drones ever got jammed right here, they would do exactly what they just did. So he put a team down there and told them to wait. On the valley floor, a single soldier has been lying in the cold beside a launch tube for the better part of 2 nights, watching one patch of sky. Nothing to give him away. No radio, no radar or anti-radiation missile to chase. Just a man, a tube, and a thermos gone cold hours ago. The worst camping trip in Russia, and nobody even packed the marshmallows. He hears the drones before he sees them, a faint lawnmower buzz bouncing off the valley walls. Then a shape, low and slow against the stars. One good shot before they're past him. He shoulders the tube. A streak of fire rips up out of the tree line along the river and hammers one of the valley drones head on. One flash, gone. An Igla is what a single soldier carries when he wants to swat something low out of the sky with nothing but heat. A shoulder-fired missile, the SA-18 Grouse, up and gone off one man's shoulder in seconds. That's the thing that just turned the low route into a trap. Radio means nothing to it. No radar either. It hunts pure heat. And an FP2's little engine, running hot against the cold night air over the river, lights up that seeker like a porch light pulls in every bug in the county. Tops out near Mach 1.7, effective to 5.5 kilometers. Roughly the walk from the White House to the Capitol and back. And the FP2 has no answer for it. No flares, no decoys, no way to throw a missile off the scent. One warhead finds the engine, and a quarter of the strike package is scattered across a riverbed. The surviving valley drone jinks hard through the riverbed and comes out the other side alone. 3 drones left now, no escort. The most heavily defended ring still ahead, and still just one run at it. Their formation is broken for good now. 1 drone crawling out of the river alone, 2 more skimming the bay miles to the south, none of them able to see the others. The path that slipped the jammer is the same one that fed a drone to the man waiting in the grass, like picking the short checkout line and finding out it's short because the register is broken. 3 drones, no escorts, enough fuel for 1 pass and nothing else. And Russia's best short-range air defense has been wide awake in the far shore all night, pointed directly at the only corridor in. The 3 survivors come together over the water and turn in on the target, a Russian naval airfield at Yeysk on the far shore of the Sea of Azov. 3 drones, line abreast, throttles ready. The coast finally hardening out of the dark ahead. The pilot has run the fuel math a dozen times and it keeps coming out the same. Enough for the run, nothing for a mistake. 1 pass, 200 kilometers, roughly Atlanta to Chattanooga, of fire, jamming, and ambush behind them, and it all comes down to the next 90 seconds. On the live feed, the prize finally slides into frame. A Be-200 sits there, a big amphibious jet parked on the apron under a web of netting. There it is, everything tonight. The launch rail, the escorts, the river valley, the drone in pieces behind them, came down to 1 jet, sitting fat and happy and still under a net 3 minutes of flight away. The lone valley survivor drops low and flat for the run, and the approach balks. A net strung low over the apron blocks the bottom of its flight path, and the only way to the jet is up and over the top of it. That web over the apron is anti-drone netting, and it's what forced the climb. Russia drapes it low over the parked aircraft and the fuel tanks to snag small drones by the propellers as they come in low. A fishing net set for minnows, and most nights it works. Against a warhead this big, the net is almost meaningless, but forcing that climb is the entire point. The moment the drone lifts to clear it, it pops up out of the terrain that was hiding it, right into the open. On the apron, a crew has been awake and ready the whole time, disciplined, patient. They have sat through a dozen false alarms tonight. Weapon hot, eyes on the dark water, and every man on that crew knows what a drone over the net means. 100 rehearsals for this exact shot. When it comes, nobody hesitates. They watch the drone pop up out of the dark and they take the shot. A missile screams straight up out of the launch vehicle, tips over in the air, and locks onto the climbing drone. The launch vehicle on that apron is a Tor M2DT, NATO designation SA-15 Gauntlet, and the name fits. A tracked launcher that carries 16 ready missiles and spits them straight up at Mach 2.8, active radar guided, meaning it shouts into the sky and tracks whatever shouts back. Warhead, 14.8 kilograms of fragmentation. Range, 12 kilometers out, roughly downtown to Dallas to Fort Worth stockyards. 0 to firing in under 5 seconds from acquisition. Runs 4 simultaneous intercept tracks. It's one hard limit. Commit to a shot, and it owns that target until impact. A handful of seconds in which nothing else on that side of the sky gets a clean look. Like a batter who's already swung. Committed to that pitch, no chance at the one right behind it. If that Tor gets a clean second shot, this run is over and the Be-200 rolls back into its hangar at dawn. Right now, it's committed itself fully to the single drone climbing in front of it. From the moment that missile left the rail, the crew owns the sky for about 4 seconds. Out-hit the climber, reset for whatever comes next. 4 seconds is the whole game. The drone climbing over the net is caught cold. It was never meant to live through this part. Spending it was the plan. It was the Matador's cape, and the Tor charged it exactly the way the plan needed it to. 2 more came in low over the water the whole way, so close to the surface their own prop wash kicked a fine line of spray off the bay, and the Russians never saw them at all. Now they pop up off the bay. Different bearing, wrong side of the sky entirely for a launcher already committed to the bait. 2 drones, 1 window. A few seconds while the Tor looks the wrong way. One rides that gap straight down onto the launcher, and the Tor erupts and goes dark before its own missile can even reach the decoy still climbing over the net. The bait lives. That was the plan all along. Spend 1 drone to buy the others their few seconds, and let the Tor win the fight it always was going to win, against the wrong target. The net is just a net now, with nothing left behind it to stop what comes next. Russia built an air defense that can hold off 1 drone at a time, then watch 2 more walk in from its blind side. Somewhere, a Tor manual was quietly being rewritten. 2 drones, lined up on the rarest aircraft in Russian naval service, with nothing left on that field to stop them. The first of the pair noses over and drops onto the Be-200, clears the netting, punches through the upper fuselage. 105 kilograms of warhead detonates inside the cabin, and its own jet fuel tears into a secondary that whites out the camera for a full second. When the picture clears, that Be-200 is folded open down its spine, 1 wing buckled under it, flame crawling along the fuel it was never meant to spill. For a heartbeat, the whole apron glows. Confirmed, the Be-200 is gone. Russia operated only a handful of these in its navy, one of fewer than 10 Beriev Be-200 Altairs ever built anywhere. A turbofan amphibious jet, takes off from a runway or sits down directly on open water, cruises at 700 kilometers per hour with a range of 3,850 kilometers, roughly New York to Denver. Hauls 12 tons of rescue gear for a full search team to a downed crew in open ocean. The one platform in Russia's naval inventory that patrols coastline nothing else can reach. Its engines were built in Ukraine before the war. Russia can't simply go build another one. The production line doesn't exist. A little like getting mugged with your own wallet. The last drone, the lone survivor of the river valley, banks over and lines up on the helo parked beside the wreckage. A Kamov Ka-27, Russia's main ship-based submarine hunter, the helicopter that drops sonar to find boats hiding under the surface, and finishes the run. If you enjoyed watching this Russian aircraft blow up, then watch this video of a drone taking out a Russian helo in flight. Bye for now.